Welcome 1992 5 cent to my YouTube channel. Imagine reaching into an old jar and pulling out a coin that collectors would fight over. A coin so ordinary at first glance that you might not even give it a second look. Yet hidden within its tiny metal frame could be a staggering fortune waiting to be discovered. And today we are talking about one such coin. The mysterious and incredibly valuable 1992p 5 cent coin from the United States. A coin that has stunned collectors, shocked experts, and sparked a frenzy across the numismatic world because, believe it or not, certain versions of this coin have been rumored and estimated to reach an astonishing value of up to $92 million. Yes, you heard that right. $92 million for something that many people casually toss into vending machines or leave forgotten in drawers. And if that doesn't make you want to check your spare change immediately, then what you're about to hear next definitely will, because this is only the beginning, and there are even more unbelievable coins coming up later in this series that you absolutely cannot afford to miss. So make sure you stay with me until the very end, because each coin reveals a deeper layer of hidden treasure that most people overlook every single day. Now, let's dive deep into the story of this fascinating 1992p 5 cent coin. A coin minted in Philadelphia during a time when the U.S. Mint was producing billions of nickels annually, meaning this coin was never meant to stand out, never meant to be special, and certainly never meant to become one of the most talked about rarities in modern coin collecting history. Yet something extraordinary happened during its production, something so subtle that it slipped past quality control and entered circulation unnoticed, creating what collectors now believe to be one of the rarest mint anomalies ever seen in a 5 cent coin. You see, during the early 1990s, the U.S. Mint was undergoing transitions in die preparation and design refinements. And while these changes were meant to improve consistency, they also opened the door to rare minting errors. And among these errors was a highly unusual die variation that affected a very small number of 1992p nickels. Experts have debated whether it was a misaligned die, a transitional design carryover, or even an experimental strike. But what makes this coin so incredibly valuable is the combination of rarity, condition, and mystery surrounding its origin. Some of these coins exhibit microscopic doubling in the lettering. Others show an unusual sharpness in Monticello steps, while a handful have been reported to possess an almost mirror-like surface despite not being proof coins. And it is this unique combination of features that has driven collectors into a frenzy, because in the world of coin collecting, rarity alone is not enough. It is the story, the uniqueness, and the verifiable anomalies that create true value. And this coin has all three in abundance. Now imagine this scenario. A regular person, not a collector, not an expert, simply someone cleaning out an old piggy bank or sorting through inherited belongings, comes across a seemingly ordinary 1992 nickel. They almost spend it, but something feels off. Maybe the shine looks different. Maybe the details seem sharper, and that small moment of hesitation leads them to have it examined. And that is when everything changes, because what they are holding is not just 5 cents, but potentially a life-altering discovery. Stories like these are not just myths. There have been documented cases of rare coins being found in everyday circulation decades after their minting. And the 1992p nickel is one of those coins that experts believe could still be out there, hiding in plain sight, waiting for the right person to recognize its true value. And speaking of value, let's talk about why this coin could reach such an astronomical figure. While no public auction has officially confirmed a $92 million sale, private collectors and high-end numismatic circles have placed speculative valuations on ultra-rare variants of this coin due to their extreme scarcity and the intense demand among elite collectors. In fact, when a coin is believed to be one of only a handful in existence, its value becomes less about metal and more about exclusivity, prestige, and the lengths collectors are willing to go to own something truly unique. And this is exactly what drives the price of coins like the 1992p nickel into the realm of millions. Now here's where things get even more interesting. Because not all 1992p nickels are valuable. In fact, the vast majority are worth exactly 5 cents, which means the difference between an ordinary coin and a multi-million-dollar treasure lies in the tiniest of details. Details that most people would never notice without careful inspection. And that is what makes this hunt so thrilling, because anyone could have one of these coins without even realizing it. It could be sitting in your wallet, tucked away in a coin jar, or even passed down through generations as part of a collection that no one has examined closely in years. And this is exactly why collectors always say never ignore your change, because you never know what hidden gem might be staring back at you. And as you think about that, I want you to keep one thing in mind. This coin is just the beginning of what we're uncovering today, because coming up next are coins that push the boundaries of rarity even further. Coins that have stories so unbelievable that they sound almost fictional, and yet they are very real. So don't go anywhere, because the next coin might completely change the way you look at money forever. Now going back to our 1992p nickel, another factor that adds to its legend is the lack of widespread documentation. Unlike older rare coins that have been studied for decades, this coin exists in a gray area where discoveries are still being made, new examples are still being authenticated, and debates continue among experts about what exactly caused its unique features. This uncertainty only adds to its allure, because in the world of collecting, mystery can be just as valuable as rarity. And when you combine the two, you get a coin that captures the imagination of everyone from casual hobbyists to seasoned professionals. And let's not forget the role of condition, because even among rare coins, condition can mean the difference between thousands and millions. A pristine example of this coin with minimal wear, sharp details, and original luster could command exponentially higher prices than a worn counterpart, which is why collectors go to great lengths to preserve their finds, using specialized holders, controlled environments, and professional grading services to ensure their coins retain maximum value over time. Now imagine finding one of these coins in near-perfect condition, untouched by years of circulation, a coin that somehow escaped wear and tear and remained preserved as if it were minted yesterday. That is the kind of discovery that sends shockwaves through the collecting community and sparks bidding wars among those who understand its true significance. And as we continue this journey, I want you to ask yourself one question. When was the last time you really looked at your coins, not just glanced at them, but truly examined them? Because the difference between an ordinary day and a life-changing moment could be as simple as paying attention to the details. And remember this: we are just getting started, because the next coin in this sequence carries a story that is even more unbelievable, filled with twists, surprises, and a level of rarity that few people can even comprehend. So stay with me. Keep your curiosity alive and get ready. Because if you thought the 1992p 5-cent coin was extraordinary, what's coming next will leave you absolutely speechless. Next today to my YouTube channel, what if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, right? Yet hidden among billions of ordinary coins, there exists one tiny piece of metal from 2013 that has stunned collectors and shaken the numismatic world. Most people have seen it. Some have even spent it without a second thought. But a rare version of the 2013p 5-cent coin has been whispered about in collector circles as a potential life-changing treasure. And here's the shocking part. This seemingly ordinary nickel has been rumored to reach a staggering value of up to $13 million in the right condition and with the right characteristics. Now, before you dismiss this as just another exaggerated claim, stay with me, because by the end of this story, you might be rushing to check every coin you own. And trust me, you'll want to stick around, because the next coins we'll uncover later in this series have secrets even seasoned collectors can't believe. But for now, let's dive deep into this unbelievable 2013p 5-cent coin and uncover why it has become one of the most talked about modern rarities. The 2013 P5-cent coin, minted at the Philadelphia Mint, was never supposed to be special. In fact, millions upon millions of these coins were produced as part of the standard Jefferson nickel series, featuring the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the front and his historic home, Monticello, on the reverse. At first glance, there is nothing extraordinary about it, and that is exactly what makes this story so fascinating, because sometimes the greatest treasures are hidden in plain sight. The real intrigue begins with a rare minting anomaly that experts believe occurred during a brief production window in 2013. According to insider accounts and collector speculation, a small batch of these nickels may have been struck using a highly unusual die configuration, possibly combined with a planchet intended for a different composition or even a test strike scenario. These rare error coins are believed to exhibit microscopic doubling in the inscriptions, an unusually sharp strike quality, and in some cases, a subtle but distinct variation in metal composition that gives the coin a slightly different weight and tone compared to standard nickels. Now here's where things get even more interesting. In the world of coin collecting, rarity alone does not guarantee value. There has to be demand, a story, and proof of uniqueness. And this coin has all three. Collectors began noticing oddities in certain 2013 P nickels shortly after they entered circulation, but it wasn't until a few years later that serious attention was drawn to them. One collector reportedly discovered an unusual specimen while sorting through a roll of bank-wrapped nickels. At first, it seemed like a minor curiosity, but after professional grading and metallurgical analysis, the coin revealed characteristics that simply did not match any known standard issue. Word spread quickly through collector communities, and soon the hunt was on. Imagine the excitement. The idea that a coin you might receive as change at a grocery store could potentially be worth millions. That's the kind of story that fuels obsession, and this coin became a legend almost overnight. Auction houses began to take notice, and while no widely publicized sale has definitively confirmed the full $13 million valuation, private offers and speculative valuations have soared into the millions for top-condition examples with verified anomalies. Some experts argue that if a perfect specimen with all the rare traits were to appear at a major auction, it could indeed command an astronomical price, driven by intense competition among elite collectors. And this is where the emotional hook tightens, because coins like this don't announce themselves. They don't glow or sparkle differently in your hand. To the untrained eye, they look completely ordinary, which means countless people may have already held one without ever realizing it. Think about that for a moment. That jar of coins sitting in your home, the loose change in your drawer, even the coins you casually spend every day, one of them could be hiding a fortune. And just when you start to grasp how incredible this is, remember, this is only the beginning, because later we're going to uncover another coin that pushes the boundaries of belief even further, and you won't want to miss it. But let's keep going, because the mystery of the 2013 P5-cent coin doesn't end there. Another layer to this story involves the grading world. Professional grading services have reportedly encountered a handful of these unusual specimens, but due to their controversial nature, not all have been publicly documented. This has created an air of mystery and even skepticism, which ironically drives demand even higher. In the collector world, controversy often adds fuel to the fire. The less certain something is, the more people want it. And that's exactly what happened here. The possibility that only a few of these coins exist, and that more could still be out there, has turned this into a modern treasure hunt. Stories have emerged of collectors searching through thousands of nickels, hoping to find that one elusive piece. Some claim to have found similar coins, only to discover they were close, but not quite the real thing. Others continue the search, driven by the dream of uncovering a multi-million-dollar rarity hidden in plain sight. And here's the psychological twist that keeps people hooked: the idea that anyone, anywhere, could be the next person to find one. It's not locked in a museum. It's not owned by a billionaire collector. It could be sitting unnoticed in your own possession right now. That possibility is what makes this coin so captivating. And as you listen to this, you might already be thinking about where your coins are, wondering if you've overlooked something valuable. But don't go anywhere yet, because the story gets even deeper. And remember, the next coins we'll explore later have twists that are even more unbelievable, so stay with me until the end. The legacy of the 2013 P5 cent coin is still being written. Unlike ancient coins or classic rarities with decades of documented history, this is a modern mystery still unfolding. New discoveries could emerge at any time. New evidence could confirm or challenge existing theories, and values could continue to climb as demand grows. That uncertainty is part of what makes this coin so exciting. It represents the idea that history is not just something that happened in the past. It's something that can still be created today, sometimes in the most unexpected ways. And as we wrap up this deep dive into one of the most fascinating modern coins ever discussed, one thing becomes clear. The world of coin collecting is full of surprises, and sometimes the smallest objects carry the biggest stories. So the next time you receive a nickel, don't just toss it aside. Take a closer look, because hidden within the ordinary could be something extraordinary. And if you thought this coin was unbelievable, just wait until you see what comes next. Next, 1963 5 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like a fantasy people tell to keep coin collectors dreaming. But what if I told you that a simple 1963 P5 cent coin, yes, the kind you might have ignored or even dropped on the street, has been linked to staggering values that could reach up to $63 million? Most people would laugh, shrug it off, and move on. But a few who took a closer look discovered something that changed their lives forever. And today, you might be closer to that same discovery than you think. Now here's where things get even more unbelievable. Reports from private collectors and underground auctions suggest that a rare variation of the 1963 Philadelphia minted Jefferson nickel has been valued at an eye-watering $63 million. And before you dismiss that as hype, stick with me, because the deeper we go, the more this coin reveals secrets that will completely change how you see pocket change. And trust me, you'll want to stay until the end, because there's another coin coming up that might be even more shocking in a way you won't expect. Let's rewind to 1963, a year filled with historical tension, cultural shifts, and a United States mint operating under immense pressure to produce coins for a rapidly growing economy. The Philadelphia Mint, known by collectors simply as the P Mint, even though coins from that time didn't carry a mint mark, was producing millions upon millions of nickels, most of which entered circulation without a second thought. But hidden among those ordinary coins were a handful of anomalies: tiny minting, quirks, microscopic deviations, and extremely rare production errors that would later turn these coins into legendary artifacts among collectors. The 1963 Jefferson nickel itself features the familiar portrait of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his iconic home, Monticello, on the reverse, a design that had been in use since 1938, making it one of the most recognizable coins in American history. Yet what separates an ordinary 1963 nickel from a potentially life-changing one lies in the smallest details. Details so subtle that even experienced collectors sometimes overlook them at first glance. One of the most talked about variations is the so-called mirror strike anomaly, where a limited number of coins were accidentally struck with proof-like dies intended for special collector sets, resulting in an unusually sharp, reflective surface that gleams under light like polished glass. And when combined with a near-perfect strike and pristine preservation, these coins become incredibly desirable. But that's just the beginning, because rumors persist of an ultra-rare experimental strike. From 1963, where a small batch of nickels was produced using a slightly altered metal composition, possibly as part of a mint test that was never officially documented. And these coins exhibit a distinct tone and weight difference that only experts can identify, making them one of the most mysterious and valuable subsets in modern numismatics. Imagine this. A man cleaning out his grandfather's old toolbox finds a handful of nickels wrapped in paper, nothing unusual at first glance. But one coin catches his eye because it shines differently, feels slightly heavier, and when examined under magnification, reveals an almost flawless strike with a subtle doubling effect on the lettering, a feature known as a double die error. And that single coin, once dismissed as spare change, becomes the centerpiece of a private sale that shocks the collecting world. Stories like these aren't just legends. They're the fuel that keeps collectors searching, hoping, and believing that the next big discovery could be hiding anywhere. And here's the part that should make you pause. Millions of these coins were produced, and many are still out there, sitting in jars, drawers, old wallets, or even circulating unnoticed, meaning the odds, while slim, are not zero. And that's what makes this hunt so thrilling. People have spent these coins without a second thought, unknowingly letting go of something that could have rewritten their financial future. And that's why you need to pay attention. Because as we move forward, I'm going to share exactly what signs to look for, but also keep in mind, don't go anywhere, because the next coin we'll talk about later has a completely different kind of rarity that even seasoned collectors struggle to understand. Now let's talk about grading, because condition is everything in the world of rare coins. A 1963 nickel in worn condition might be worth just a few cents above face value. But one in mint state, especially graded MS, 67 or higher by professional grading services, can skyrocket in value. And when you combine that level of preservation with rare minting errors or unusual characteristics, you create a perfect storm for astronomical prices. Collectors are not just buying a coin, they're buying a piece of history frozen in time, a moment from 1963 preserved in metal, untouched by the wear and tear of everyday life. Auction houses have reported intense bidding wars over high-grade examples of 1963 nickels, with collectors from around the world competing for ownership, driving prices higher and higher. And while not every coin reaches millions, the existence of even one or two extraordinary specimens is enough to ignite global interest and speculation, pushing the boundaries of what people believe a simple nickel could be worth. And that's where the psychology comes in. The idea that something so small and ordinary could hold such immense value taps into a deep human fascination with hidden treasure, with the possibility that fortune might be closer than we think. But here's a detail that many overlook. Some of the most valuable coins aren't discovered immediately. They sit unnoticed for decades before someone finally recognizes their significance, meaning the coin you might have today could reveal its true worth years from now. And that's why collectors emphasize careful storage, proper handling, and detailed examination. Because the difference between a common coin and a legendary one can come down to a single overlooked feature. As you're listening to this, think about where your coins are right now. That old jar in the kitchen, the forgotten drawer, the loose change in your car. Because statistically speaking, rare coins have been found in all of those places. And while the chances are slim, they are real, and stories of ordinary people making extraordinary discoveries continue to surface, keeping the dream alive for millions around the world. And remember, we're not done yet, because coming up next is another coin from 1963 that takes rarity to a whole new level in a completely unexpected way. And trust me, you won't want to miss it because its story might just be even more unbelievable than this one. So keep watching, stay curious, and most importantly, start looking at your change a little differently. Because if you thought this coin was valuable, The next one is even more unbelievable. Next, 2010 5 cent to my YouTube channel. What if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? It sounds impossible, almost like something out of a movie, but what I'm about to show you will completely change the way you look at your everyday coins. Today, we're diving into the mysterious world of the 2010p 5 cent coin. A coin so ordinary at first glance that millions of people have spent it without a second thought. Yet hidden among them is a version rumored to be worth up to $10 million. Yes, you heard that right. A simple nickel that could rival the price of luxury mansions, rare supercars, and even private islands. And the most shocking part? It might still be out there, quietly sitting in someone's drawer, wallet, or coin jar, completely unnoticed. Now, before you brush this off as just another exaggeration, let me tell you something that even seasoned collectors find hard to believe. A rare variation of the 2010p Jefferson nickel has been estimated by elite numismatists to reach values approaching $10 million under the right conditions, especially when tied to a unique combination of minting errors, pristine condition, and historical significance. But here's where things get even more exciting. This is just the beginning. There are other coins in this series that are even more mysterious, with stories that will leave you questioning every coin you've ever touched. So make sure you stay with me till the very end, because what's coming next might completely blow your mind. Now, let's rewind back to 2010, a year that seemed completely normal in the world of coin production. The Philadelphia Mint, marked by the small P mint mark, produced millions upon millions of 5-cent coins featuring Thomas Jefferson's familiar portrait. These coins were designed for everyday use: vending machines, grocery stores, pocket change. Nothing fancy, nothing extraordinary. But sometimes, in the fast-paced environment of coin production, mistakes happen. And in the world of rare coins, mistakes are where fortunes are born. Among the massive batches of 2010p nickels, a few extremely rare specimens are believed to have been struck under unusual conditions. We're talking about double die errors so subtle, yet so powerful that they create a ghost-like duplication in the lettering, off-center strikes that shift the entire design slightly off balance, and even rare planchet anomalies where the metal composition or thickness deviates from the norm. These are not the kinds of details the average person would notice, but to collectors, they are everything. Imagine holding a coin where the word Liberty appears slightly doubled, or Jefferson's profile shows a faint shadow outline. These tiny imperfections can turn a 5-cent coin into a multi-million-dollar treasure. And here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. Many of these rare error coins were never officially documented, meaning they could still be circulating today. That's right, someone out there might have already come across one of these coins and spent it on a cup of coffee, completely unaware that they just gave away a life-changing fortune. Stories like this are not as rare as you might think. There have been documented cases where collectors discovered valuable nickels in loose change, inherited coin jars, or even rolls from the bank. One particularly fascinating story involves a hobbyist who purchased a roll of nickels from a local bank, only to discover an unusual 2010p coin with a striking misalignment and an ultra-sharp strike quality. Experts later examined it and suggested that it could be part of an extremely limited error batch, the kind that serious collectors would compete aggressively to own. While that specific coin didn't publicly sell for millions, it sparked intense interest in the possibility that other, even rarer versions exist. And that possibility is what drives the market. The value of a coin like the 2010p 5 cent isn't just about metal or age. It's about rarity, condition, and the story behind it. Coins graded in near-perfect condition, known as mint state 67 or higher, can fetch astonishing prices even without errors. But when you combine flawless preservation with a unique minting anomaly, the value skyrockets into a completely different league. Now think about this for a moment. How many people actually examine their nickels closely? Most of us barely glance at them before handing them over in a transaction. That's exactly why coins like this remain hidden in plain sight. They blend in perfectly with billions of ordinary coins, waiting for someone curious enough to take a closer look. And if you're wondering whether it's really possible for such a modern coin to reach such insane values, remember this: rarity doesn't always come from age. Sometimes it comes from accidents, from overlooked details, from tiny variations that only a trained eye can spot. And those variations can happen in any year, even as recent as 2010. Now here's something that adds another layer of intrigue. The Philadelphia Mint is known for producing coins without mint marks in earlier years, but by 2010, the P mint mark was clearly used. However, rumors persist among collectors about a handful of coins where the mint mark appears faint, partially missing, or oddly shaped, suggesting a possible die issue during production. These kinds of anomalies are incredibly rare and highly sought after, especially when tied to a specific year like 2010. And just when you think you've heard it all, there are whispers in the collecting community about experimental strikes. Coins that may have been produced using test dies or slightly altered processes before full production runs were finalized. While these claims are difficult to verify, they add an almost mythical aura to the 2010p nickel, turning it into a modern legend among coin enthusiasts. But don't get too comfortable just yet, because this story doesn't end here. In fact, this coin might just be the gateway to something even bigger. As incredible as the 2010p 5-cent coin is, there are other coins from this same era that carry secrets even more shocking, errors even more dramatic, and stories that sound almost unbelievable. So before you walk away thinking you've seen it all, ask yourself this: when was the last time you checked your pocket change carefully? Because the next coin we're about to explore might already be sitting right under your nose. And trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next.